The prophet who ran from God and was reached by his mercy. The story of Jonah is one of the most powerful and deeply human narratives in the entire Bible. It is not just an ancient tale with miraculous overtones or a moral fable for children. It is, in fact, an X-ray of the human soul when faced with the divine call, a story that exposes our fears, contradictions, rebellions, and the immense mercy of God. It is a short story in words but infinite in meaning. And when we read it with an open heart, we discover that Jonah is not a character distant from us, he is a mirror in which we can all see ourselves reflected. Jonah was a prophet from the Old Testament, mentioned even by Jesus as a sign of the mystery of his own death and resurrection. His name means dove, an animal representing peace but also fragility. God chose Jonah for an impossible mission, to go to Nineveh, the capital of the Assyrian Empire, a colossal and feared city, and announce its imminent destruction because of the wickedness of its inhabitants. In modern terms, this would be like asking an ordinary citizen to travel deep into enemy territory to denounce its sins. Naturally, such a task seemed like a death sentence. But beyond fear, Jonah was moved by something else, a deep knowledge of God's heart. Jonah knew that if Nineveh repented, God, in his infinite goodness, would forgive them. And to Jonah, that seemed unjust. How could the God of Israel have mercy on the enemies of his people? Jonah did not want justice mixed with forgiveness. He could not stand the thought of seeing the wicked spared. So he made a drastic decision. He fled in the opposite direction. He went down to the port of Joppa and boarded a ship headed for Tarshish, the farthest known place at that time. This action was loaded with symbolism. Jonah was not only fleeing his mission, he was trying to escape God's presence. He descended physically into the ship, but he also descended spiritually into disobedience. In his heart, he tried to silence the divine voice with distance. But God's voice cannot be silenced by flight. In the middle of the sea, a terrifying storm broke out. The sailors, men accustomed to the sea's roughness, panicked. Each cried out to his own God, and the ship was breaking apart. Meanwhile, Jonah, in an act of insensitivity or despair, was sleeping soundly in the ship's hold. The captain woke him up, shouting, "Get up and call on your God. Maybe he will notice us so that we will not perish." Eventually, the sailors cast lots to determine who was responsible for the calamity, and the lot fell on Jonah. Then Jonah confessed, "I am a Hebrew, and I fear the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea and the dry land." The contradiction is striking. He claimed to fear God, yet he disobeyed him. The sailors, horrified, asked what they should do. Jonah told them to throw him into the sea to calm the storm. Though they resisted at first, they eventually did so. Immediately, the sea grew calm. Ironically, these pagan sailors offered sacrifices to the God of Israel. Jonah, who had tried to run from his calling, ended up being an instrument of conversion even in his rebellion. But God was not finished with Jonah. He appointed a great fish to swallow him. Inside the creature's belly, Jonah spent 3 days and 3 nights, a powerful symbol of death, descent into the abyss, but also of rebirth from the womb. And there, in the darkness, Jonah prayed. His prayer was a mixture of psalm, lament, and thanksgiving. He recognized that God had heard him, that he had not been abandoned, and that hope could be born even from the depths of despair. Finally, the fish vomited Jonah onto dry land. Once again, God repeated the command, "Get up and go to Nineveh." This time, Jonah obeyed. He walked for 3 days across the immense city, proclaiming, 40 more days and Nineveh will be overthrown. And something unexpected happened. The city believed. From the king to the common citizens, they put on sackcloth, fasted, and cried out for forgiveness. Even the animals were clothed in sackcloth in a massive symbolic act of repentance. And when God saw their sincere change of heart, he forgave them. He did not destroy the city. He showed his mercy. But Jonah was not happy. He was furious. He complained to God, "I knew that you are gracious and compassionate, slow to anger and abounding in love. That is why I fled, because I knew you would forgive them." It is the paradox of the prophet. He could not bear the goodness of God. He felt betrayed by divine mercy. Jonah sat outside the city, waiting to see if God might yet destroy it. While he sat, God made a leafy plant grow to provide shade for Jonah. Jonah was delighted by the plant. But the next day, God appointed a worm, and the plant withered. The scorching sun and a hot east wind beat down on Jonah until he became faint and angry about the plant's death. And then God delivered the final lesson: you are concerned about a plant you did not tend or make it grow. It sprang up overnight and died overnight. Should I not be concerned for Nineveh, that great city, in which there are more than 120,000 people who cannot tell their right hand from their left, and also many animals? The book ends there. No resolution. No knowing what Jonah ultimately chooses. Because the story is not meant to close, it is meant to open a question in every reader. Are you like Jonah? Have you ever fled from what you knew you should do? Does it bother you when God is merciful to those you believe do not deserve it? Can you accept that mercy is greater than judgment? The story of Jonah is not about a great fish. It is about a great heart, God's heart. A heart that pursues, corrects, lifts up, and loves. A heart that breaks at human suffering, even the suffering of sinners. A heart that never gives up on our stubbornness. Reflections for our lives. 1. Running away doesn't solve the conflict. Jonah thought escaping was better than obeying. But running from our calling only delays our peace. The path may be long, but God waits patiently on the shore. 2. God uses even our rebellion for good. Despite his disobedience, Jonah became a witness of faith to the sailors. When we open ourselves to God's plan, even our failures can become opportunities for grace. 3. Conversion is not only for unbelievers. Jonah needed to convert as much as Nineveh. Sometimes those who think they are close to God are the ones who most need inner purification. 4. Mercy is always a scandal to pride. It's hard for us to accept that God forgives those we wouldn't. But God's heart has no limits unlike ours. And that is truly good news. 5. God gives second chances. To Jonah, to Nineveh, to you, and to me. His love is so patient that he continues to call us, even when we stray. 6. True darkness is in the heart. Jonah rejoiced over a plant but not over the salvation of thousands. How often do we worry about trivial things while God's heart weeps over what truly matters? 7. The story is open, because you are part of it. The book of Jonah doesn't end with a period, it ends with a question. Because the call remains active, and the decision is yours. Today, you might be on a ship headed for Tarshish. You might be in the belly of a great fish. You might be sitting outside a city, waiting to see if God does what you want. But God's heart is calling you, firmly and tenderly, to rise. To return. To love more than to judge. To announce hope even to those you dislike. Because in the end, the real miracle is not that Jonah survived the fish, but that God never stopped believing in him. And if God didn't give up on Jonah, he will not give up on you either.